am Fletcher Brown with another artist video blog at kicks96country.com. Our guest today, all the way from literally all over the place. Please welcome for the first time ever to Kicks 96 Country, Alyssa Bonagura. How are you, Alyssa?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Great. I love your hat, by the way.
Thank you. I've always been a hat person.
I am also a hat person.
Yeah?
They're actually, if you go back and look at some of my older videos, I will almost always compliment someone who has an interesting hat.
See, that's very cool. Yeah. Well, it's perfect that I'm here then.
Yeah. Now, we're not here to talk about Alyssa's amazing hat. Okay. That's not why we're here. We might delve off that cliff a little later on, because I'm probably not going to stop staring at that hat.
Thanks.
But the reason we are here is because, Alyssa, you've been making music for a pretty good long time. You actually come from a long line of really, really talented songwriters and musicians.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I'm an only child. So I grew up on a tour bus with my parents. They were in a band called Baillie the Boys.
You remember Baillie the Boys? Yeah. If you don't, I urge you to go and refresh your memory on Baillie the Boys right now.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so good.
So you literally grew up like on the tour bus, like with them out on the road.
Yeah, I was 3 weeks old on the tour bus. They had a top 10 single on the radio, and my mom was like, well, I'm gonna push the baby out and take the baby out with us and put the single out. And so I grew up like that my whole life around musicians and people like Vince Gill and Reba McEntire and Kenny Rogers, and it was really, really an amazing upbringing.
So what you're saying is your life is boring.
It was so boring.
Gosh, nothing ever happened to Alyssa. I'm just gonna grow up with Vince Gill and Reba.
Well, it's strange because as a kid you don't really think about that. You're like, oh, that's my friend Uncle Vinny, you know, and it turned into like just being people that I would meet and get to know, and then as you get older, you're like, oh wow, this is my life. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you know, as a kid, it was innocently just, I didn't know. To me, they were just normal people. Yeah, were great musicians.
I tell you, she's literally from everywhere. So you were born into and grew up on the road with your folks, and Baillie the Boys, and obviously in a legendary company. Yeah. When did you know that music was also your path?
Honestly, ever since I was born. I mean, I was like 2 years old, and I asked my mom and dad if I could go on stage. There was a few times when I ran on stage because I wanted to just sing like them. I just would see them sing every night and just wanted to be a lot like them. I just thought they were so cool, you know. And so they are really cool, but they were like really good people too, you know. And my dad's here today. He's filming for us. He's doing a little bit of BTS.
Mike is right there.
Behind
if you're a
the
Baillie
scenes.
the Boys fan, Mike
He's right there.
He's right there. You can't see him, but I promise you there. Maybe I can coax him on the camera a little bit. So you believe me, because like nobody's going to believe me.
But I'd say if we wasn't in the room, I'd say the same thing, and I do say this often. But you know, they've always supported me throughout my whole life. And I told my mom, I said, I want to be like you. Can I come and sing on stage? And so she brought me on stage in front of like 20,000 people when I was 2. Oh wow! And I've been doing it ever since then. So it's just in my blood and ingrained in who I am. So I can't get away from it.
All right, well then, growing up with, like you mentioned, like Vince and Reba, let's just start there, because they are 2 of the most iconic names in modern country. Yeah. Were artists like that your biggest influences, or did you take musical influences from even outside of the country genre? Like where does your muse come from? Yeah,
I mean, Vince was a huge inspiration and influence on me, and Bonnie Raitt was a big one back then. Joni Mitchell was a huge influence of mine. Really what my parents were playing in the bus, you know, or in the car. And but people like Vince and Reba and Kenny Rogers and we got to sing a duet together when I was 10, I think. And he was doing a Christmas record, and he had this whole Christmas play that he created, and he needed a young angel to play this part in the play. And I didn't make the play, but I made the record. So that was really cool.
I miss Kenny Rogers.
I know, me too. But he was so good. He was so good to my family, and he was so good to me growing up, and gave me a shot, you know. And so those people that were around me, I think I learned so much. And I didn't even know how much I learned until I was a little bit older, and then started, you know, writing songs and be like, oh wow, like that is reminiscent of an old Vince Gill song, or you know, or elements of Joni Mitchell in my tunings, because I play in a lot of open tunings. So yeah, they brought me up on a lot of really good music.
Okay, so now you actually lived overseas in the UK for a while, for a number of years, right? Yeah. What impact did that have on your music, if any at all? I mean, was it like,
oh my gosh,
was it like a Beatles moment where it's like you're making a certain kind of music and then you have this life experience and then suddenly your music goes in this completely different direction? Or so talk to us a little bit
the
about
Beatles were a huge influence of mine. My dad was a huge Beatles fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally growing up, we had like all Beatles memorabilia in the house, still do. There's still like all this stuff. But I was in high school and I didn't know where I was going to go to college. And I just had done music so much that I didn't really want to go to a college that had like anything other than music. I wanted, you know what I mean? I was all right at like English. I was really bad at math and horrible at geometry. So I was like, if I have to go to college and take like normal classes, I'm going to hate it. Yep. So I started researching schools and I didn't know where I was going to go. And we were at a party on, I think it was like a Christmas party with my parents, and Ray Kennedy, who's a big producer in Nashville, is married to a girl from Liverpool who is an amazing artist as well. And I met her at this party and she was telling me about Liverpool and she's like, where do you go into college? And I was like, I don't know, you know, I don't really want to go. I kind of just want to do music full time. And I can't find a conservatory that like does music production, which I really was getting into with my dad. We started like this little studio above our attic, in our attic. And I was just getting into that stuff. And so anyway, she said, have you heard of the Paul McCartney School in Liverpool? And I said, Paul McCartney has a school in Liverpool. So it was the only place I applied. And I told myself if I got in, I would go. And I got in on a full scholarship.
Oh, man.
So that was a huge blessing and totally God's plan. But when I was there, I was so immersed in the Liverpool music scene because there's just so much happening there still. I mean, you know, I got to play the Cavern, which is where the Beatles played.
Yeah.
And I was actually at the opening. I joined a band while I was there. This guy called Pete Wiley and the Mighty Wall. He's like this rock star from Liverpool. And I ended up playing electric guitar for him in his band because he saw me play one night at a bar, like just randomly. And we ended up like opening for the Who that year and like playing with Ringo Starr at the opening of the Echo Arena. And it was just like wild stuff. So
basically what you're saying is your life continued to be boring even after coming off the tour bus with Baillie the Boys. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I am so sorry. My guest today is Alyssa Bonagura. And there's just nothing to know here.
It's wild.
I mean, obviously her life is just
when we talk, it's like when you ask me these things and we talk about it, I reminisce over the memories and I'm just like, wow, like what?
Yeah.
I
had a really nice encounter with the nice lady who gave me my McMuffin this morning. That's the most interesting thing that happens to me in a week. And she's just like, oh yeah, you know, I played with Ringo Starr, you know, in Liverpool and all this, and
that's funny.
Friends with Reba. And I'm like, all right, I have made terrible life choices, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So you've had an amazing life. You've got real talent and real skill.
Thank you very much.
As a songwriter and an artist. So let's talk about the new project. How about New Wings?
Oh my God, New Wings. It's my new single.
Yes.
No, I was in a band for about the last 5 years. It was called the Sisterhood Band, and that took us all over the world. We had so much fun touring. We were signed to Sony Records, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And the band fell apart, and we just kind of. I started turning inward and trying to figure out, you know, when everything falls apart. I mean, that was a major dream for me, was to be signed to a major label. I mean, you keep working for all these things your whole life. You've got a family that's been in the business and you're like, okay, that's the next step. I need to get a label and all these things, and then things will start to happen. And when you lose that, it kind of, you start to think, well, am I good enough? Like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe that's why this is happening.
Is that what they call imposter syndrome?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was hard for me though. It was like this weird moment in my life where I was like, oh my God, I've failed, you know?
Yeah.
And I moved back home to my parents' house, and the three of us had like the pandemic together, and like we would like sit around and play rummy every night, and Mom and I would make dinners, and Dad and I would be in the studio, and I just wrote so much during that time, and it was my time of healing. And I found this beautiful poem. Have you read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho? Have you ever read that book?
I've heard of it. I've not read it. No.
It's really a beautiful book, but he writes a lot of other things as well. And he had this story that he wrote about the lesson of the butterfly.
Okay.
And it's all about, this guy walks out and he sees this butterfly cocoon like hanging on a branch, and the butterfly is like struggling to come out of this cocoon, and he's watching it for like a long time, and he's like, I feel bad for this butterfly. So I'm going to go get a pair of scissors and maybe I can cut open the cocoon and it'll make it easier for this butterfly and he won't have to struggle as much. And so guy goes gets a pair of scissors, he cuts open the cocoon and the butterfly falls flat to the ground and his wings are underdeveloped and he's not able to use any of his new wings. And that's how he spends the rest of his life. And the part and the point of the story is that the struggle that butterfly goes through the cocoon is the most important part of the process of transforming and making your wings strong. And something just about that just like really hit home for me, because I was thinking to myself, you know, when we're in struggle and we're facing like really tough times, we think to ourselves, oh, how am I going to get through this? I've just got to get through this. If this was just over, everything would be easier. If I could just skip this step, it would be easier. But the truth is like those struggles are what makes us stronger and what makes us who we are. And I felt like that just was my lesson of 2020 was to, you know, maybe there's beauty in being stuck. And maybe, you know, beyond that struggle is of set of new wings. So that's what this song is all about.
So New Wings is literally about the last, you know, 18 months to 2 years of our life.
Yeah. And also just about like, you know, you lose people along the way, like people that you think are going to be your friends for life. And then you kind of part ways, or, you know, people pass away. And it's like, it's really helped me understand the beauty of life and how fragile and how important it is to just be present and to realize that good things are coming even when they feel like they're not, you know. There's always another side.
There's always. So all right, so New Wings is a single. It's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
The song we're playing, the song at Kicks 96.
Yay!
Please call us and ask for it. We'd love to play it for you. Before I let you go though, the full project, is it completed, or is this just in advance of a larger project down the road?
Yeah, so I'm actually, it's been evolving actually, but I have 6 masters finished for the album, and I'm finishing the rest this year. And it's been fun because I was in the UK. I went over this summer and we played a bunch of festivals. They were open, which was so wonderful. And music here is finally coming back, you know, live music. But it's always fun to play new songs in front of an audience because I think they change and morph sometimes. So I'm fixing some of them on the record now. And yeah, we've got some cool stuff in the works.
Okay. So now all of the people who have just immediately in this moment become Alyssa Bonagura fans, who want to just know all the things that there are to know about Alyssa Bonagura, where on the internet do they go and find you?
I'm always on Instagram. It's like my favorite platform. So you can find me on there, that one, and Twitter and Facebook. I run everything. So if you message me there, you're getting me. So I love to hear from everybody. And people have been sharing so many amazing stories about how this song's helping them. And that's really the only reason why I do this.
I mean, I can see it. The song is, I mean, it's instantly beautiful. The minute you hear it, you will be completely blown away. I'm telling you now, it's my recommendation to you in this moment. If you haven't heard New Wings, go and find it, listen to it. It's great.
Thank you.
Then tweet her and tell her how wonderful her song is and how nice her hat is.
Yes.
Because we don't want to forget that. The hat is so very important.
It's also kind of like Halloween-y, this one, a little bit. I've got a little I'm ahead just of Halloween, but it's fine. I don't know when this is going to air, but Halloween's like next weekend.
New Wings. Yeah, well, yeah, it's, gosh, what's it, Thursday? Weekend? Yeah, it's in like 2 days. No, I'm sorry. It's Sunday, so it's in like 3 days.
It's in like 3 days.
All right, so if you're watching this at Christmas, just know that we recorded this 3 days. Things may have changed since.
And I wear this hat year round, so
yeah, she might still be wearing it, so it's okay. You can tweet her and say your Halloween hat was awesome. And your song. If you want to hear New Wings, please call us at Kicks 96. We'll gladly play it for you.
Yes, please.
Alyssa, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
And Mike, can you just stick your face around so cute. Just come right here. So I can prove that.
Right here.
Mike Bonagura from Baillie the Boys is here. Just stick your head. And we can say, hello. Mike, thank you for being here, and thank you for bringing Alyssa to it.
It's a pleasure.
Glad we're here.
See, I told you.
It's really him.
It really
Dad, look right in the camera. Say, hey, call Kicks 96.
You know, Vince Gill watches this channel. You can say hi to Vince.
Yeah, say, hey, Vince.
Call Kicks 96. Ask for New Wings. Yay. Ask for Fletch.
Yeah.
Ask for money.
No. All right. Look for a live performance. We're going to see if we can't get Alyssa to play a song for us elsewhere here on our YouTube channel. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Mike, for that little bit.
Thanks, Dad.
And thank you, Tim, for not locking the door.
Thanks, Tim.
We'll see you next time on another artist video blog at kicks96country.com.
Bye.
Like new wings.